Good morning. How are you guys doing today? Good. You know, last night I had the opportunity to eat at this place down in Fort Worth, Texas de Brazil. And I think I'm still recovering from a meat hangover. It was intense. And today we start out with this gospel, this verse that is so familiar because it has become so prevalent in our culture. John 3:16. For God so loved the world, right? I don't know about you guys, but this was the first Bible verse that I knew by heart. And I knew that it was John 3:16. And I remember turning on the TV and seeing the football game, and someone up there on the high deck with John 3:16 held up, and I said, I know. And I felt proud that I knew. That's my faith being represented in the world. But what I didn't know about this story, about this scripture, is that it comes out of this story about Nicodemus, this Pharisee who is coming to Jesus at night. Perhaps because if he came in the day, his fellow Pharisees might cast judgment on him, because he's actually giving Jesus the time of day. But no, Jesus comes to him at night, curious about what Jesus is doing. Something Jesus has said or done has shifted Nicodemus' perspectives. I mean, he was a Pharisee. He knew about the faith of Israel. He knew about God. But something for him was changing, and he just couldn't let it be. He had to go looking. Now Nicodemus, like many of us, he was looking for that true path, that path of God, that path of faithfulness that we so often look for as well. But that dissonance for him is just rubbing. He can't quite stay with the Pharisees. He can't quite go gung-ho for Jesus and put up the John 3:16 sign and say, yeah, this is it. He's stuck in the middle. Somehow, what he had known for so long all of a sudden didn't quite make sense anymore. He'd had some sort of experience. How many times have we had some sort of experience that has just shifted everything for us? When we come and say that what we believed yesterday just doesn't quite carry us where we are today. Whether it's losing a loved one or witnessing a tragedy, there's something that just says, I don't know, God. I don't know. We read in the psalm today that they so eloquently sang for us. God always keeps us, protects us. But I challenge that. I say, God, I don't know. I don't know if you protected Grandma from the cancer. I don't know if you protected my friends from that divorce. Certainly doesn't seem like you protected the people of Japan. God, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I mean, what keeps us here, in this place, week after week, month after month, year after year, joining around this table with this simple meal, going through this cycle every year, Lent, Easter, Advent, Christmas, Lent, Easter. What keeps us here? I think like Nicodemus, we've experienced something something that's changed everything for us. Something that we just keep coming back to because it makes a difference in the way the rest of our week happens. For God so loved the world, right? For God so loved the world that wanted nothing to do with God, the world that would rather spend its money on fancy things instead of helping other people. For God so loved the world, not just Israel, not just the church, not just Europeans or Americans or Westerners, no. God loved the world. God loved the world that he gave, that he died. For us. So that this grace that we proclaim, this grace that we celebrate in this meal, it would be more than just an abstract thing. That it would be lived out, made known, right in front of us. I think that's what we keep coming back for. For God so loved the world. There's a mystery here that we can't quite nail down sometimes. But somehow we know that God is with us, even in the midst of the worst. We've experienced something that we can't deny. We've experienced something that has changed the way we look at the world. Perhaps we've got more in common with this nighttime Nicodemus than we thought we did. Perhaps John 3:16 is less about just trying harder to believe and more about realizing the grace that's already amongst us. Because every time we forgive instead of retaliate, every time that we give to someone else instead of line our own pockets, every time we kneel at this railing with our brothers and sisters in the name of the triune God, grace is made known. That's what John 3:16 is about. Restoration, wholeness, right here, right in front of us. Thanks be to God. Amen.